It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speakers for today's webinar, Dan Meunier and Kurt Richards. Dan has proudly dedicated 12 years to Anchor, bringing with him 28 years of extensive experience in packaging across various companies. Kurt, being the Director of Marketing for Anchor, works to identify emerging consumer needs and develop solutions to help operators profitably grow by serving them. As meals travel further from the kitchen, this means maintaining fresh made quality longer, while exceeding consumer expectations and limiting waste. Dan, Kurt, and everyone at Anchor, thank you so much for joining us today. And without further ado, please take it away.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Good. Sorry for that little technical problem, and that's the reason why we connect earlier. So, yeah, we at Anchor are very excited to be part of this webinar today and be part of the Elite Vendor Program for this year. So today we're going to talk about who is Anchor, the investment, capacity update, everything that we have done since COVID. Kurt's going to talk about the sustainability, and then I'm going to take over on the product review and the innovation and the film update. So next slide. Next one. One more. Can you move? Okay, there we go. So Anchor has been in business since 1963, and we are based, the head office is based out of St. Louis, and we are a domestic timber former on polypropylene and PET. We have high-speed inline all the way to the small rough run offline with prototyping. We have won multiple award, and we are growing by investing a lot of capital for our production to meet the new demand. And the key thing to remember of this slide is our focus is to solve the high value problems with innovative and sustainable solutions. And one key thing that it was not the case, that's my second round with Anchor. We were not like the #1 producer of PP takeout containers in America back then, and we are today. So we're very proud of it. Next slide. Head office is located in St. Louis, with the majority of our production plant out of central US and Arkansas. And we have expanded up to 2 million square feet during COVID to meet, again, the new demand. And we have a new central warehouse where we can keep more inventory on the floor and meet new demand and new project coming our way. Next one. So sales coverage. I have Danny Wu, our district sales manager, who is based out of Edmonton, Alberta, and he was looking after Western Canada. We have Riverwood Sales looking after Western Canada, Manitoba to British Columbia, and Core Service, formerly TTS Marketing, Ontario East. Next. Kurt is going to take you over on this one.
Yeah, so thanks again, everybody, for the chance to be here today. We appreciate a chance to share some of the things that we keep an eye on in order to help you really be most successful with your customers and help your customers succeed and grow. And it starts with, what do the consumers want? In other words, your customers' customers, and what's most important to them. So we work with Technomic. If you're not familiar with Technomic, Technomic is a food service industry, really, research house. They provide coverage for all of food service. And one of the things that they do on a regular basis, every other year, if not every year, is they do a disposable study. And it's a study about packaging and the impact on takeout and delivery. What they ask people is, what's most important to you? And what you can see here clearly is the things that are most important to the customer, or the consumer rather, is performance-based. They want containers when they, we hear a lot of conversation about the importance of sustainability, and it's on there. It's not that it's not important, but the things that are a priority for the people paying for the food, they don't want it to leak. They want it to stay the temperature it's supposed to stay. Easy to use, durability, and so on. Eco-friendliness is down there. Interesting, you'll see that in the last study they did in 2022, it dropped from where it was in 2020. I think that we'll even dive into that a little bit more, and you're going to see a little bit more about what that means, because it's not that it's not important. It's just that performance is more important now, more than ever. And right now, particularly considering the inflation that's impacting the U.S. end of the North American market, and probably to some degree yours as well, it's more important than ever that you meet what consumers are trying to determine when they decide where they're going to go out, and whether they're going to go out and get food next or they're going to order takeout next. These are the questions they ask themselves. And operators that provide accuracy, food that tastes as good as when you dine in, speed, temperature, texture, taste, and so on, those are the ones that win those next meals. And packaging, it's good to know, is that it's a key piece in how you can meet a lot of these needs for your operators. So that said, let's talk a little bit more about the sustainable piece and what sustainable packaging is. Sustainable packaging gets called a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it really just does two things. First, it protects and preserves the food, because the most important thing we can do is ensure the food is eaten and not wasted. The second thing, it offers the consumer an alternative to throwing the package away after they're done using it. And that's a critical distinction, because not everything remains recyclable after it's been used. The point here is, if you make it easy for consumers, and that's what viable means, we can limit packaging waste as well. All right, so this is why we prioritize protecting the food. This is some research that we took from Ameripen, and what it lays out here is the footprint, the impact, if you will, the energy impact of the food versus the package. And you can see at that table on the top right of the chart that it's always higher for the food than it is for the package itself. You can see at the bottom of the table, it's 7-to-1 for pasta. All that means is there's 7 times more energy in the pasta than there is in its packaging. And as you go up the ladder into more prepared foods with longer maturation cycles, you get into some really outsized, lopsided numbers. Whole roasted chicken is a real easy thing to understand, because it's really in every store, everywhere, right? Every retail store, and something everybody eats. So when you look at that, you can see that the chicken itself is 114 times greater impact than the package. All that means is over 99% of the energy of that meal is the food itself. So we've got to protect that food first and foremost. And not only is the packaging itself less than 1% of the footprint of the meal, it's also a very small part of what's actually making it to landfill. So food waste is a big problem. About a third of what's produced in the US, which is a number I could get, I couldn't find the number for the North American market, but almost a third to more of the food produced annually gets thrown away. And it makes roughly a quarter of the landfills per EPA studies. Plastics looks like a big chunk of the landfill, but plastics covers a lot of ground. So we start taking that apart and we start looking at what's actually constitutes plastics: durables, non-durables, bottles, wraps. You get up to the bright yellow where it says other plastic packaging, which again covers a lot of ground. So if you start looking at everything inside of that, and you take it down to polypropylene and PET, which is what Anchor Packaging produces, the packaging is less than 1% of the annual tonnage in a landfill. So it makes food waste 25 times a bigger problem, 26 times a bigger problem than the packaging that protects it. The important thing here is, how do we make it easy for consumers to do the quote unquote the right thing, to act sustainably when they're done using the package? And recycling is a big key to that. The good news is it's continuing to improve. It's available widely across all of the provinces, and it's continuing to improve the access rates. What I've laid out here is PET is in green and polypropylene is in blue. You can see the access rates across provinces and how it's improved since 2009. That makes it easy for people, and it's one of the reasons people most strongly support recycling. Really at a factor of about 2-to-1 in terms of what they actually do. And this is Technomic again, asking consumers, what actions do you prefer to take and what do you most strongly support? So the punchline here is it kind of lays out our vision from Anchor Packaging, and that is, let's tackle the biggest part of the problem, and that is protect the food and create packaging that does that. And then secondly, how do you create a convenient alternative to let consumers avoid just throwing it away? Well, you make it recyclable, consumer reusable, and in some cases compostable. So that creates new paths to circularity. Dan, I'll give it back to you.
Thank you. So with everything that we just talked about, we talked about our value proposition that our packaging will do is, like I said, is protecting the food, but also one important thing here is to replicate and the experience of the dining versus the dining and the takeout. And whatever you take out, you're going to maintain the same temperature, the same texture. It's going to be in a leak-proof container. And because of the clarity of our container, you also ensure a better order accuracy. And it is a sustainable product at a very good price. So, and for those pillars, and we put this as it could be used for your sales force as a checkpoint, a checklist. I mean, when they meet with the end user as to what they should be thinking about in order to present and prepare the right containers, and also avoiding the pricing that it's not like number one priority. We all understand it's all important. Price is important and cost is important, but if you don't have the right packaging, you don't have the same experience. So with that, we're going to go into some of our key products, starting with the Curling Lights. This product line was launched, I would venture to say, about 20 years ago. It was an heavy duty container, a lot of plastic into it. So with everything that's going on in the market with plastic ban and imports, we have reduced the weight of the container without affecting all the features like being vented, having anti-fog. And I would emphasize on anti-fog, the difference between Anchor and our competition is our anti-fog treatment is built into the material prior of getting to a sheet and then forming the container and then cut at the end. So this is a key thing also. And we have various sizes from 6x6 all the way up to 9.5 by 10.5. And you could stack it without affecting, without squashing the containers. And a key thing here is also, before we switch to the other one, all our clear container are 100% polypropylene, which make them like fully recyclable. Next one, the Crisp Food technology. And as you can see here, we have more vented holes on the lids, and there's a gap between the lid and the base that allows the ambient air to circulate in the container and therefore remove the moisture. So any fried food that you're going to put into it will remain fried for the duration of the delivery. So, and we'll show you on the next couple of slides also that what's important to see, like if you switch to the next one, please. So you see, as when it's in the store, you see like the heat in the container. And then on the next one, the ambient air coming into the container, that's about like after 10-15 minutes. It's still very, very hot. And then on the last slide, it's after 30 minutes. So, and we think that the food should be delivered within 30 minutes, and therefore your food will stay hot and crisp. So that's the key thing here to remember. On the next one, the culinary tamper safe is we're taking protection to the next level. Move on, please. That's the only tamper evident food service container in the polypropylene right now in the industry. And we have one size 9x9 and one compartment and three compartment. And the target here is really like restaurant. We use those third-party delivery and Uber Eats, Keep the Dish, etc., where we have heard like horror story where driver were picking into the food, and that with this container that will prevent that to happen. So that could be used also like for sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So if something happened, it could be harmful for the consumer as well as the banner. So if something happened, then the banner could get bad press and could result in going in bankrupt. Next one, innovation. Here, what we did is also to meet the new demand for the Canadian government with the plastic ban. We have the white base that is available in pretty much all of our container. Here, what we want to show is that some of our container in the white base are 100% PP, and that's the case with our roaster and the rib container. And so that's a clean and upscale look, and that meet the new requirement from the government. On the next one, um, this is the MFPP. All our lines at like the 400 series, top left, very popular, top selling item. 600 series, smaller footprint on the bottom left, and oval shape and the round shape. So whatever the application, we have the containers that's going to allow you to put whatever food that's going to go with that. Safe pinch, our temper evident in the PET. We have all kinds of shape from 8 ounce all the way up to 64 ounce. One key thing here is once you break the seals with our container, there's no loose piece of plastic that you need to dispose. So, so you don't need to look for a garbage can or someone's going to drop it on the floor, and that could be harmful if a kid or a animal picks it up and put it in their mouth and they can choke with that. So that's not going to happen with our. And still, if you need to close it and leave it for the next time around you need it, you can put the lid back on, no problem. Next one is the Anchorware. Uh, Knowing that some of the cities are asking or requesting some reusable container, we came up with that line about a year ago, and that's again heavy duty, and that's what we did. We had in mind when we did that is there was a requirement for the plastic utensil to meet the 100 washes, and with that we have 50 washes, uh, and this is like a Gladware container. So everybody at home have those type of container for leftovers, spaghetti sauce, and whatsoever. Obviously, the price point is a little higher, but it's going to last a long time. Last but not least, we have our Cutterbox film uh, that we have limited success with the Balpex members, and I just want to reiterate that we are manufacturers and we have good quality product. What we're showing at the bottom is that the good, better, best options, like our Street Fighter to the left, Nature's Best, Value Wrap, Crystal Wrap, Purity Wrap. Purity Wrap being the top of the line, having a Canadian size, 11 and 17 inch by 2,500 feet. We have make some production change, like improving the box making, allowing us to gain 25% in efficiency, so therefore more capacity, and other things that we did that help us to be more efficient. Also available on in the film category is we have on the next slide refill rolls, made and produced film, perforated. That also available from us. So so just keep in mind that we can be a partner on this category as well. And one of the last thing here, and that would be interesting to you, is on the next slide is how we going to get the Aeroplan points awarded. Like for you attending today, there would be a 500 points. Setting up meeting with us, whether virtual or in person, it will be 1,000 points. Um, Current member buying from us, increasing their sales by 5% during that period of September 1st to December 1st, it will be a 5,000 point. And listing new SKUs, excluding national account, will be 1,000 points. And what we're working on with the Balpex office is how we can track the members that don't buy direct from us that could get those points as well by listing new SKUs. So this is to be determined, and we could probably follow up with you at the Balpex convention next month on how we can track it. So with that, it's up to if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you so much. So we will now open the floor to any questions. You can type them in the chat. Lori's monitoring the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask them live now.
I have a question here. My end users are saying they need to be the cheapest menu compared to their competitors. I need packaging to match my menu price. How do I go about selling it to the end user?
So I'll address that question. One of the things with pricing, it's very easy to compare online, especially with Skip the Dishes. You can always see all the menus and everything like that. No, it's interesting. I just read an article where Chipotle has an average spend of $10 per meal. Meanwhile, McDonald's has an average spend about $5-6. And Chipotle has been increasing their sales this past quarter in double digits, where McDonald's has declined. And basically, what I'm trying to say is, pricing is important, but I think consumers are starting to gear towards the quality of the food. And some questions that can be asked would be more, is it important for the end users to have quality of the food from restaurant to home? If it is, that's where packaging is going to be more important. And what that entails is more repeat customers. If the experience and the food tastes good, the chances of consumers coming back will be a lot higher than having food that's half in the bag and not in the container. So it's just more the experience, and that's sort of the way I would look at it. And regarding the price, it is important, don't get me wrong, but I think there's other factors and questions that can be asked when that question is brought up.
Great, thank you.
Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, and we have another question in our chat box here. Does the wrap cutter box come with a slider to cut?
So I didn't hear the question, sorry.
Sorry, does the wrap cutter box come with a slider to cut?
Right now, all our cutter box comes with a creator edge, a metal, but we could add, or we could not add, but we can send slide cutter to when it's needed.
Great, thank you. Okay, I also have a question in the chat box. What is the difference between good, better, best food film?
It's really a difference in terms of gauge and the type of box that we're using. Like for instance, on the Purity Wrap, it's a more robust box. It also has a dry guard treatment on it. So which means if you have like food on it or dust or whatever, you can take a damp cloth and wipe it. That's going to make the box, have a better lifetime. Although we understand this is their boxes are being abused, so life cycles is a little shorter. And on the other one is not that it's not a good box, but it's regular cardboard corrugated, and it's the gauge difference between the good, better, best. So it's all the way from 32 or 30 gauge for the Nature's Best, all the way up to 37 on the Purity Wrap.
Thank you. A part B to that question is, do you have minimum order requirements?
We technically ask for 400 cases, but in some instance we can be flexible, and this is like a case by case to be discussed with the members and see and remove the hurdle to for them to buy from us.
Great, thank you. I have an additional question here. My sales reps are struggling to understand takeout packaging. Is there an easy way to educate them on so many options in the marketplace?
I can address that one. I guess one of the things that there's so many options out in the market, and it definitely can get confusing as to where to start with. One of the questions that I ask is in regards to plastic is the application of the container for hot foods or cold foods. If it's for hot foods, you gravitate towards polypropylene containers, and within the polypropylene containers, there's a wide variety of options. There's round, there's square, there's rectangle, and different shapes and sizes, anywhere from 6 ounce all the way up to 48 ounce type of thing. If it's for cold foods, I'd recommend going with PET. So sorry, I'm back for a second. With polypropylene containers for hot foods, the characteristics of polypropylene are microwavable, dishwasher safe. So therefore, it merchandises hot foods very well. When it comes to cold foods, you want to gravitate towards PET plastics. And within PET plastics, you have, once again, a large variety of shape, sizes, etc. And characteristics of PET is that it cannot be microwaved. So if you're a microwave a PET plastic, it would definitely melt. So that sort of helps. Hopefully that helps the reps narrow down the hundreds of options to a few options. And then once it comes there, we'd be more than happy to help out. Once we understand the application, we can help with the size and shape of the containers.
Great, thank you. I have one more question. What is the difference between culinary lights and culinary tamper evident? And when would an end user use one over the other?
Danny, you want to go?
Oh, again, yeah, for sure. One of the things with culinary lights, it's a clear hinge container. Same with culinary tamper evidence, clear hinge container. The lights is more of a price fighter. No, it's a lighter gauge, still performs, where the tamper evident is a little better, thicker gauge. And also that having that tamper evident, as Dan mentioned earlier in the slide, is it's when it's shipping third-party delivery companies such as Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, it hasn't been tampered with. And I think that's really the biggest difference, is the tamper. One is tamper evident, where consumers know that once it leaves a restaurant to when it gets their home, it has not been tampered with. So hopefully that answers that question.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. Well, I want to be conscientious of everybody's time. So if there is any more questions that come through to the Ballpex office, we can send them over to Dan or Danny for any responses and connect everyone like that. But I want to thank everyone for your participation today. A special thank you to Dan, Kurt, and Danny for sharing such valuable insights. And yeah, have a great day.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.